The night everything cracked open began under the harsh white lights of a downtown Chicago charity gala, where polished shoes hid tired feet and smiles were worn like armor. Nathan Brooks stood near the edge of the room holding a borrowed suit together with quiet dignity, his pulse racing for reasons no one else could see. He was a single father who had learned to survive on restraint and silence, a man whose past sat heavy on his shoulders like an invisible coat. When the woman beside him leaned close, trembling with fear and urgency, and pressed him into a moment he never expected, one small act would tear open a truth he had buried for years. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of ordinary people doing the right thing, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Nathan had not planned to attend the event. His invitation came through a church outreach program he volunteered with on weekends, the same place where he packed food boxes for families who looked a lot like his own. The gala was meant to raise funds for children's shelters, and the irony was not lost on him. He had once slept in one of those shelters years before, with his infant son curled against his chest in a future that felt as thin as the blanket they shared. Now, years later, he worked as a night maintenance supervisor in a hospital on the South Side, doing honest work for modest pay, raising his son Caleb alone in a narrow apartment that smelled of laundry soap and hope. He told himself he was invisible in rooms like this, and he preferred it that way. The woman who changed everything was named Rebecca Turner, a name known in business circles for philanthropy and sharp leadership. She wore elegance like second skin, but beneath it, fear flickered. Nathan noticed it the moment she stepped too close, her breathing uneven, her eyes scanning the room as if searching for an exit. Powerful men watched her with curiosity that felt less kind than it appeared. Rumors moved through the air like static, and Nathan, who had grown up reading danger in small signs, felt it instantly. He sensed she was being cornered by expectations and assumptions, by people who believed they owned her image. When she leaned toward him, her hand brushing his arm, it was not desire that guided her but desperation. She needed a shield, even if only for a moment. Nathan felt the room tilt as she closed the distance between them, and when her lips met his it was brief, gentle, and loaded with unspoken need. To everyone watching it looked like a spark between two people who belonged together. To Nathan, it felt like a line being crossed that he could never uncross. The room reacted the way crowds always do, with subtle shifts and sudden interest. Faces turned away politely, then back again with curiosity dulled by champagne. Rebecca steadied herself, and the tension around her loosened just enough to breathe. Nathan's heart pounded not from the kiss itself, but from what it risked exposing. He had learned long ago that moments like these came with consequences, especially for men like him, who carried histories the world did not forgive easily. As the evening unfolded, whispers followed them. Rebecca, grateful and shaken, stayed near Nathan, drawing him into conversations with donors and board members who saw him as an unexpected mystery. Nathan answered questions carefully, revealing nothing beyond his name and his connection to the church program. He had spent years perfecting the art of being unremarkable, of hiding the truth that he was once an inmate, a man who had made a terrible mistake in his early 20s that cost him freedom and nearly cost him his son. He had paid his debt in full, but the stain never fully washed away. The kiss did more than protect Rebecca, it pulled Nathan into a spotlight he had avoided since his release. By the next morning, photos had surfaced online, framed as a romantic surprise that thrilled gossip columns and donors alike. The internet speculated wildly about the identity of the quiet man at Rebecca Turner's side. Some praised the pairing as proof that love found people in unexpected ways. Others dug deeper, searching for a story beneath the surface. Nathan's life began to feel fragile. At work, colleagues glanced at him differently, their phones lighting up with notifications he tried not to see. At home, he watched Caleb do homework at the kitchen table, his son's brow furrowed in concentration, and felt fear tighten his chest. Nathan had promised himself that his past would never harm his child again. He had built their life on routine, faith, and the belief that redemption was real, even if society rarely agreed. Rebecca reached out through the church program, careful and respectful, expressing gratitude without expectation. She did not ask him to play a role or continue the illusion. She simply wanted him to know that his kindness had mattered. Yet the world had already decided there was more to the story, and secrets have a way of surfacing when attention shines too bright. When the truth emerged, it did not come as a scandalous exposé, but as a quiet revelation shared by someone who believed honesty was the only path forward. Nathan's past conviction, a nonviolent offense tied to desperation and youth, spread through the same channels that had romanticized the kiss. The reaction was swift and divided. Some recoiled, reducing him to a label he thought he had outgrown. Others paused, reading the full story, learning about the years he spent rebuilding, about the son he raised alone, about the man he had become. Rebecca did not distance herself. Instead, she used her platform to speak about second chances, about the danger of defining people by their worst moment. She highlighted Nathan's volunteer work, his steady employment, his devotion as a father. In doing so, she shifted the narrative from scandal to substance, from judgment to grace. The attention brought unexpected opportunities. Donations to the children's shelter increased, sparked by conversations about redemption and responsibility. Nathan was invited to speak at a small community event, where he shared his journey without shame, focusing on accountability and hope. Each step terrified him, but each step also felt like a release from the prison of secrecy he had built around himself. At home, Caleb listened quietly as his father explained the truth, not as a confession, but as a lesson. Nathan spoke about mistakes, consequences, and the courage it takes to change. He spoke about faith not as perfection, but as persistence. Caleb hugged him with the uncomplicated love only a child can give, and in that embrace, Nathan felt lighter than he had in years. As months passed, the kiss that once threatened to undo him became a symbol of something larger. It represented the moment two lives briefly intersected, altering each other's paths in ways neither could have planned. Rebecca continued her work with renewed purpose, ensuring her organizations focused not only on aid but on dignity. Nathan remained grounded, still clocking in at the hospital, still volunteering, still being a father first. Fame brushed past him and moved on, leaving behind a quieter, stronger sense of self. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it's reminding you that people are more than their past and that grace can appear in the most unexpected moments, please take a second to like this video, share it, and stay connected by subscribing. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. Nathan often thought back to that night in Chicago, to the fear in Rebecca's eyes and the courage it took to step forward without knowing the cost. He realized that the secret he had tried so hard to hide was never meant to define him, but to shape him. By bringing it into the light, he reclaimed ownership of his story and offered others permission to believe in change. Before this story ends, we have one special request. Please comment below with the words, "Second chances matter" if you believe redemption is real and everyone deserves the opportunity to become more than their worst mistake. In the end, there was no fairy tale ending, no dramatic transformation into something unrecognizable. There was simply a man who learned that a single moment of kindness could expose a painful truth and still lead to healing. Nathan Brooks continued walking forward, guided by faith, responsibility, and love, knowing that sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is stop hiding and let the world see who they have become.